Hi there, and welcome to the newest devlog. This will probably be the last devlog before the demo comes out. I've done a massive amount of work in the meantime to prep for this. So let's look at what I have, let's look at what I still need to do, and yeah, let's jump in. First up is something you might have noticed straight away, and that is the new look of the game. I've used a new shader, which I'll link in the description. It's an asset I purchased. It's a little bit close to cell shading. I think it looks really cool. I think it brings everything a little bit together and makes the game more unique. And one other thing I did in order to make the game more unique, but also to give more of a range of options for myself to portray the story to the player, is a new face for the NPCs. So this is the eyes, the nose, the eyebrows, and the mouth. These are all newly added to the assets that I bought before. Making it more unique for my game, but like I said, also allows for expressions to be used. So expressions can be used in a few ways now, like when you have a conversation between two participants, they'll use the relationship between the participants to determine what kind of facial expression to use. So if they know each other, they'll be kind to each other. If they're enemies, they'll be looking angry at each other. It also is using the NPC's personality. So persons can be grumpy, they can be shy, they can be happy. So if there's no relationship between the conversation participants, they'll use their default personality to display an expression. But it is also context related. So if there's something sad being told, they'll use that as an expression. Something maddening, then they'll look angry, stuff like that. Another big change is the terrain being halved in size. This has been advised to me in the past, and I finally I agreed with it before, but I finally did something to it. The idea is that you replay the game, and I started out with a terrain size 4 times the map right now. Which I just thought was cool. A lot of content to explore, but the idea is that you redo the content, that you see the differences. So yeah, it made more sense to make the island smaller. This makes generation quicker. It makes a whole other things just more suitable to the game. So island is smaller. This does mean that I've changed the way biomes work, because it doesn't really make sense to have multiple biomes anymore because the island is too small. So instead of that, the ruling faction will have their biome being used on the island, and there will be small faction buildings around the island for the other factions, and they'll have a small circle of their own biome around it to give kind of a demo of what is to be expected if you win or you succeed the game, the main storyline, with a faction you choose. You get an example of what the island will turn into. I've also finished the main questline for the demo, at least for now. What I've done is I've added a random quest step, because for now it felt the main questline was a little bit too rigid for the demo. Everything was preset, you knew very well what was going to happen. That's not the point of the game. So I've added an in-between step where a random quest step will be generated, still within the context of the main storyline, but gives a little bit of randomness. This can be a kill quest step, this can be an explore quest step, or an escort quest step. These are all already in the game. All of them are in the game. As well as the last one, which is the negotiate quest step. But this one I have upgraded a little bit. This time it actually uses your stats for the negotiation. Before it was just, you can just click through it. It wasn't really looking at what your charisma was, what your strength was. Now it will use that in conversations to do the stat check. And if you do not meet any stat requirements, it will actually generate a new quest step now, a new task for the player to fulfill in order for the negotiation to have gone successfully. So yeah, that's really cool that that's all in there now. Other than that, I've added the last quest step to the main quest line for the demo, which is you actually going to the city for the first time. It's just a simple escort quest where you have to bring an item to somebody in the city, but this actually ties up everything for the demo, so that's really nice. I shouldn't forget to mention that this also includes the addition of the end of the demo screen. Nothing too fancy, but it actually ties everything up. If you reach this screen with your character without dying too often, then you'll have finished the demo, meaning that you'll get rewarded with an island that uses the faction that you chose as the ruling faction. I'll see if I can include more benefits to that, but that's currently the main benefit, so it all ties together in that sense. I've also done some much needed work on equipment system. I have added the ability to actually wear armor. I hadn't done anything related to this because it doesn't have that big of an impact on the game, but of course it's important. So I've added a few demo armor sets. I'll expand this in the next few weeks, but these can now be worn through the UI screen, so that all works. It also actually applies armor stats to the characters, so the better armor you wear, the less damage you will receive. I've also added the ability to upgrade your weapon finally. This encompasses quite a few things, so that means there's now a blacksmith in both the harbor and the main city. You can visit them if you have enough energy saved up, which is comparable to souls in the Souls games, and have enough ore items. Ore items can now be dropped by NPCs, and if you have all of those, you will be using the new weapon upgrade UI through the blacksmith to upgrade your weapons. Weapon stats are also applicable, so if you upgrade your weapon, you will actually do more damage to enemies than you did before. Moving on to the death mechanic, something had not added yet. If you died in the game was just stuck. But now actually something happens. If you die the first time, you will drop your souls on the ground, or your soul. When that happens, you will reload your last save file, and in addition to that, it will now have your soul floating in the world where you died last time. If you get to your soul in time, you regain the energy that you lost since then. So no other things. So if you picked up items or finished quests, unfortunately you'll have lost that, but at least you'll regain your souls. Sorry, energy. If you do not reach your soul before dying again, you lost the game. It's game over. From there on, the game decides, okay, what's the lose state here? For the demo, it's just one state. You lost. Your faction will not become the ruling faction in the next playthrough. Full game will have worse ramifications for that, but yeah, it's in there now. So if you die 2 times without finding your soul back, it's game over, and the new game is being generated. That neatly ties in with the next topic, which is NG+. Regardless of reaching the end of the demo or dying too many times, once you've reached that point, the game will regenerate an island, and you will skip the tutorial you did the first time. Instead of that, you'll be handed your class weapons immediately by the opening sequence dwarf, and after that you get the option to choose from unlocked content. So if you have picked up weapons, special spells in your previous playthroughs, those will be stored, and you can take a handful, 2 or 3 of those with you on the next playthrough to customize every playthrough you're going to do. So I talked about saving earlier, and I need to go into that a little bit deeper because I've changed that too. Instead of being able to save whenever, wherever through the main menu, which was never really the idea, you now save your progress through sleeping. So if you go to bed, the game will save progress, and you get the opportunity to level up your character. Currently, this is only done in any bed you can find. That means you have to be in a city or a faction building. I am still thinking of adding like small tents outside as kind of a bonfire, so you can save and level up while you're out in the wilderness instead of having to go to a city. But I'm still thinking about that. And the last additions / improvements I've done to the game are combat related. I've added damage numbers, so if you add an enemy, damage numbers will pop up. There's a bit of a screen shake added, a more aggressive one for if the player is being hit, and a slightly more subtle one for if you are hitting enemies. And I have worked on the floatiness. I've made some adjustments to how NPCs and the player move during combat, which should address that at least a little bit. Still trying to improve it more where I can. An honorable mention is some work I did on implementing an LLM for generating simple responses to questions like how are you, who are you, or for generating quest descriptions. Had it working, was all set up locally, generating runtime, but unfortunately it kept lying. I fed it a lot of details to make it all very truth worthy, but I couldn't get it to not lie. So after time boxing this feature for a weekend, and didn't get it to properly work, I decided to scrap it. That's it for this time. Check out the Discord if you want to ask me questions directly, and I'm probably going to do a sign up there for the pre-alpha. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps the algorithm, and I'll see you next time.